You know, some songs are just endlessly debated, right? Bob Dylan's Just Like a Woman is definitely one of them. So what if we tried something different? What if we just stripped away all the opinions, all the speculation, and just looked at what's actually there? That's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to stick to the official lyrics, just the words on the page, and the hard data. Let's see what story the song tells all by itself.
So the song kicks off with this. Just think about that for a second. Nobody feels any pain. Tonight as I stand inside the rain. Wow. Right off the bat, it sets this incredible mood. It's kind of quiet, almost eerie. You've got this rainy night, but the narrator is telling us that nobody is feeling any pain. It's such a strange, mysterious way to start things off, you know? It really is like the calm before the storm.
All right, so let's dive into the words. We're going to treat this thing like a poem. Really look at the story it's telling verse by verse.
Okay, so the first verse starts out with this very public statement, right? Everybody knows that baby's got new clothes. It's something everyone can see. But then, bam, it immediately gets super personal. The narrator says, "But lately I see her ribbons and her bows have fallen from her curls." That's such a tiny, intimate detail, but it speaks volumes, doesn't it? It hints at this whole inner world crumbling. And then, of course, you get that absolutely killer line, "She breaks just like a little girl."
And then we get to verse 2, and suddenly there's this new character, Queen Mary. Who's that? Maybe an escape, maybe just a friend. But the focus snaps right back to the woman. And wow, the judgment here is pretty harsh. The narrator's basically saying she can't be blessed until she accepts that she's like all the rest, trapped by her own vices.
This next part, this is a total turning point. The narrator finally flips the camera around and shows us his pain. And he uses this incredible image. It was raining from the first, and I was dying there of thirst. I mean, just picture that. He's surrounded by something, maybe love, maybe attention, but he can't take any of it in. And that's what leads to the big decision. It's not dramatic, it's just final. I believe it's time for us to quit.
Okay, so that brings us right to the heart of it, doesn't it? The central conflict of the whole song. This is the part that gets repeated over and over in the chorus, the part that's so powerful and, honestly, so controversial. Woman versus little girl. So let's just lay it out side by side. On one hand, you have the woman. And look at the verbs she gets. She takes, she makes love, she aches. These are all actions, right? They're about experience, agency. But then, on the other side, you have the little girl. And her verb? She breaks. That's it. It's this incredibly stark contrast. All the complex, adult actions belong to the woman, but the final collapse, that moment of fragility, is pinned on the little girl. And Dylan just leaves that hanging there for you to wrestle with.
All right, so we've walked through the poem. But a song isn't just words, right? It's an artifact. It comes from a specific time and place. So let's zoom out and look at where this thing was born.
And here it is, the song's birth certificate, basically. It first showed up on Blonde on Blonde way back in 1966. And you have to understand, this wasn't just another album. Blonde on Blonde is an absolute landmark. So this song isn't just a song. It's a timestamp from a genuinely explosive moment in music. But here's the thing. The story doesn't end in a recording studio in 1966. Not even close. That was just the beginning. When we start looking at the numbers, at how this song lived out in the world, a whole new story starts to unfold.
I mean, just look at this timeline. It's pretty incredible. He played it live for the very first time in April of '66. That's before the album even came out. And his last known performance of it? November 2010. Let that sink in. That is a 44-year career for one single song on stage.
And if a 44-year lifespan doesn't blow your mind, maybe this number will. Ready for this? According to all the data we have, Bob Dylan performed Just Like a Woman live 871 times. 871, think about that. This wasn't just some track you put on a record and forgot about. It was a living, breathing part of who he was as a performer, something he kept coming back to, year after year, decade after decade. And we have the receipts. Its life is captured on so many different albums. Of course, you have the original on Blonde, but then you have all these legendary live versions, Before the Flood, At Budokan, the stuff from the Rolling Thunder Review. Each one is a snapshot, a different night, a different mood, a different take on those same exact words we looked at in the beginning. So this all brings us to one last really fascinating contradiction, doesn't it? The character in the song, the narrator, he makes a choice, a very clear one. It's time for us to quit. He's done. But the artist who wrote it, the data tells us he just couldn't quit the song. He came back to it again and again for 44 years. So it leaves you with this incredible question, right? How do you quit a song after you've played it 871 times?